the most well-known volcanoes in the world is located here, not far from the Bay of Naples on Italy's west coast. Mount Vesuvius has erupted numerous times over the centuries, most famously in AD 79, when it destroyed the cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum. It is the only volcano on the European mainland to have erupted during the last 100 years. The two other active Italian volcanoes, ETNA and STROMBOLI, both in a state of almost continual eruption, are on islands. Vesuvius's last eruption began on the 13th of March 1944 and lasted on and off until the 29th of March. Italy was a divided country at the time. One of Nazi Germany's main allies in the Second World War, the country had finally surrendered to the Allied forces the previous September. Germany had immediately invaded, reinstating the fascist leader Benito Mussolini in the north of the country, while Italian partisans, aided by the Allies, waged a fierce civil war from the south. Allied troops were stationed near Vesuvius, with the volcano's observatory serving as their meteorological station. This meant that the observatory's director, Giuseppe Imbo, had only one room from which to observe the volcano's changing patterns. Accordingly, the eruption, when it came, took everyone by surprise, including the military. Thousands of people fled their homes, and 26 people were killed. A few of the casualties were caused by the explosion of a water tank hit by lava. The mountainside villages of San Sebastiano al Vesuvio, Ottaviano and Massa di Somma were all but destroyed, as was part of San Giorgio a Cremano and all 88 planes in a US B-52 bomber group stationed at the airport of Tosinio to the east of the mountain. The sequence of the eruption was similar to earlier ones from 1631 onward. It began with an emission of lava flow, followed by powerful lava fountains, and it culminated in an explosive stage featuring a sustained eruption column. The comparatively low number of casualties, however, was because the destruction was caused more by the lava flows than the explosive activity. Because, as leading volcanologist Professor Bill Maguire of University College London once pointed out, you'd have to be nailed to the floor to be killed by lava. It moves so slowly. In fact, in San Sebastiano, village boys were recorded roasting chestnuts on the lava flows as they edged past. Since 1944, the destroyed villages have been rebuilt. The area is now densely populated, with locals drawn to the rich and fertile volcanic soil on the mountain. Considering prior to 1944, its cycle of quiet periods varied from 18 months to 7.5 years, meaning the stretch since 1944 is the longest in nearly 500 years, it does seem as if the volcano is long overdue for another eruption. It is not thought that Vesuvius is due to erupt in the near future, however, though its tendency towards sudden and extreme violent explosions and the dense population on and near the mountain is a continual challenge for authorities working on efficient evacuation plans. Currently, the plan relies on the authorities receiving between 2 weeks and 20 days' notice of an eruption, before using trains, ferries, cars and buses to remove some 600,000 people living within the so-called Zona Rossa, or Red Zone. The old observatory used by Allied troops in 1944 is now a museum, and the volcano is closely monitored by a brand new facility in Naples. So far, there has been no magma discovered within 10 kilometers of the Earth's surface. So far. The U-2 crisis of 1960 began when a U-2 spy plane piloted by American Frank Gary Powers was shot down over the Soviet Union on the 1st of May of that year. Having left the Air Force with the rank of captain in 1956, Powers had been recruited by the CIA's U-2 program, which conducted espionage missions. Stationed in Pakistan, Powers was shot down by a surface-to-air missile and convicted of espionage by the Soviets. Sentenced to 3 years imprisonment and 7 years hard labor, he was released in February 1962 in an exchange deal for a KGB colonel. In the US, he faced accusations of failing in his duty by not committing suicide or destroying the mission photographs, but he was cleared. Having died in a helicopter accident in 1977, he was finally awarded several posthumous medals in 2000 on the 40th anniversary of his fateful mission.